Right now, the European financial system is moving over 100 trillion euros in assets.
Which is just a staggering number to even think about.
It really is. It's this massive pulsing digital nervous system processing, more than 400,000 transactions every single day.
Right.
But since 2020, that exact system has absorbed a 238% increase in cyber attacks,
Yeah.
which is roughly 3 times the volume of the next most targeted industry globally.
It's intense because the sheer operational pressure there is just staggering. I mean, the financial sector isn't just moving money, right? It's moving trust.
Absolutely.
And when that infrastructure is under constant assault, the stakes are basically existential for the entire European economy. And what makes this current landscape so precarious is that the regulatory framework's designed to protect it.
Like DORA and NIS2.
Exactly. DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, and NIS2 for critical infrastructure. They carry business-ending fines for noncompliance.
Which brings us directly to our mission for today's deep dive. Welcome, everyone. We are looking at a really fascinating stack of source material today. We've got a position paper, a slide deck, and a presentation guide.
All detailing a new European research project called CyberAId.
Yeah, CyberAId. And what stands out to you immediately is that this isn't just another alarm system to catch hackers.
No, not at all.
It's designed as an automated AI-powered compliance engine, basically to handle those crushing regulatory requirements of DORA, NIS2, and the brand new EU AI Act.
Right, because it addresses this paradox that the researchers highlight right away. If you look at the biggest problem in financial cybersecurity today, it's actually not a lack of data.
They have too much data, if anything.
Exactly. Security teams have mountains of data. The actual bottleneck is a lack of reasoning capacity.
Yeah, the sources have a statistic that illustrates that perfectly. Existing security information and event management systems, the SIEMs, they only successfully detect about 21% of known MITRE ATT&CK techniques.
And that's the globally recognized matrix of adversarial tactics, for those who might not know.
Right. And meanwhile, 2/3 of security operation centers simply cannot keep pace with the alerts they do receive.
Because they're completely drowning in noise. I mean, a human analyst can only process so many alerts per shift.
Yeah.
The majority of actual catastrophic breaches are preceded by alerts that the system did actually generate.
Wait, really? The system caught it?
Oh, yeah. It flagged the anomaly, but it was never investigated because the human team lacked the capacity to connect the dots in time.
So they just swiped it away, basically.
Pretty much. Alert fatigue. And CyberAId aims to bridge that specific reasoning gap. It's engineered to survive advanced persistent threats, but equally to survive the intense, exhaustive regulatory audits that inevitably follow an incident.
Okay, let's unpack this reasoning bottleneck. Because whenever the tech industry says AI and reasoning right now, the immediate assumption is, large language models.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, the frontier models.
Right, the usual suspects.
But the sources note that these LLMs are remarkably capable in isolated scenarios. There's a data point here stating that frontier models can autonomously exploit one-day vulnerabilities 87% of the time, based entirely on a text description.
Which is wild.
It's terrifying, actually.
It is, but that capability, while impressive, researchers make a crucial distinction here. A narrow win, like writing a functional exploit or analyzing an isolated piece of code, does not translate to a functional enterprise security platform.
You can't just plug ChatGPT into a bank.
No, exactly. You cannot take a massive monolithic LLM, bolt it onto a retail bank's network, and expect it to defend the perimeter.
Because it would just lose the plot over time. I mean, if it's smart enough to find the exploit, the assumption would be it's smart enough to reverse engineer a defense.
Well, the issue is architectural. A monolithic LLM can't reliably persist multi-tenant state over long periods without its context window degrading.
It gets infused.
Right. It struggles to map complex operational telemetry to strict regulatory regimes without hallucinating. But most importantly, it cannot survive a regulatory audit.
Oh, because it's a black box.
Exactly. You cannot explain the internal weights and biases of a massive neural network to a European regulator in a deterministic, legally binding way.
Sorry, the algorithm just felt like blocking that transaction. That's not going to fly.
Not at all. So the solution is to break it apart.
Right. The sources outline this hybrid multi-agent system. Instead of ripping out the classical SIEM and XDR systems, which provide high-throughput telemetry and a solid, deterministic ground truth detection floor,
Yeah.
CyberAId layers specialized LLM subagents on top of them.
Yep. The classical tools collect the data. The AI agents reason over it.
So the classical systems provide the what, and the multi-agent AI provides the why and the how.
It's a great way to put it.
It's a bit like having an overactive motion sensor on your driveway. It goes off every time a leaf blows by, a stray cat walks past, whatever. It's incredibly noisy, but it technically captures everything.
Right, the ground truth.
And then the AI agents act like a team of seasoned detectives sitting in a back room, calmly analyzing the footage from that motion sensor to determine if that blur was just a cat or an actual burglar trying to pick the lock.
Exactly. The motion sensor guarantees the ground truth is captured, and the detectives provide the critical reasoning and context to filter out the false positives, without deleting the underlying evidence.
Okay, I understand the theory, but I have to push back a little on the reality of implementing this in finance.
Sure.
Having a team of independent AI bots chatting with each other about a bank's highly sensitive regulated data sounds like a data leak waiting to happen.
No, absolutely.
How do you keep an AI from hallucinating a threat and accidentally violating GDPR while trying to investigate it?
Well, that is the core vulnerability of integrating generative AI into enterprise environments. To prevent hallucinations and maintain strict rule adherence, CyberAId introduces a structural enforcement mechanism called the security context.
The security context. So this isn't just like an initial prompt telling the AI, hey, behave securely.
Far from it. It's a highly structured data object created the exact moment a security event hits the API gateway.
Okay.
Think of it as an unalterable digital passport cryptographically attached to that specific event.
A passport.
Right. And this passport travels with the event across every single agent boundary. It ensures that every AI agent touching the data knows the exact client identity involved, the specific legacy systems under attack, and crucially, exactly which regulatory frameworks apply to that specific packet of data.
Oh, wow. So it's effectively constraining the AI. The agents can't freestyle their analysis. They're forced to operate within the parameters defined in this passport.
And they do this within a shared runtime environment. At the center of this environment is the central router agent, or the CRA.
The CRA.
Yeah, the CRA acts as the primary dispatcher. It receives the incoming alerts, performs an initial severity assessment, and then spins up the necessary specialist agents in parallel.
What happens if they disagree?
If two specialized agents look at the data and disagree on the severity, the CRA uses calibrated confidence scores to resolve the conflict.
But wait, if the central router agent is receiving all the alerts, doing the severity assessments, and dispatching tasks to everyone else, wouldn't it just become the exact same bottleneck as the human analyst is trying to help?
It would, except the architecture prevents that through strict delegation. The CRA isn't doing deep analysis, it's strictly a traffic cop.
Okay.
For example, if it detects suspicious IP addresses, it delegates the deep dive to the threat intelligence agent.
The TIA.
Right, the TIA, which tracks external indicators of compromise and maps them to known global campaigns.
Okay, but what if the threat is already inside the house? An external intelligence agent won't help if an employee's compromised credential is being used to quietly siphon data?
And that scenario is delegated to the behavioral analysis agent, the BAA. The depth of visibility here is really essential. The BAA tracks subtle insider threats by tapping into kernel-level eBPF telemetry on edge devices.
By tapping into kernel-level eBPF, they aren't just looking at standard network traffic. They're getting, like, sub-second visibility into the fundamental operating system calls on the hardware itself.
Exactly, like an ATM or a payment gateway.
Bypassing the network layer completely.
That level of access allows the BAA to establish a baseline of normal behavior at the core operating system level.
Right.
So it flags microscopic deviations in how a specific application accesses memory or spawns processes.
Things a human would never see.
Or anomalies that traditional signature-based security would completely miss because the network traffic itself looks totally legitimate.
Having this incredibly sharp team of specialized detective agents finding the threats is an elegant architectural choice. But finding a threat is only half the battle for a financial institution.
Very true.
The arguably more painful half is proving to government regulators that you handled the threat correctly.
The paperwork problem. It's what keeps bank executives up at night. As we mentioned, the regulatory pressure from DORA, NIS2, and the EU AI Act is immense. A technical victory against a hacker becomes a massive legal liability if you cannot definitively prove the chain of custody and the timeline of your response.
And this is where we really need to focus, because the sources emphasize how CyberAId automates these specific compliance burdens. So how exactly does an LLM translate raw technical network anomalies into a structured legal document without hallucinating the details?
It tackles this through two highly specialized components. You have the compliance verification agent, or CVA, and the reporting capability.
Okay.
The CVA's entire operational mandate is to maintain live awareness of these frameworks. It doesn't just read the law.
What does it do?
It uses structured templates and vector databases to map specific technical telemetry, like a severed connection on a critical database, to predefine regulatory control objectives within DORA or GDPR.
So it's maintaining a continuously updated real-time regulatory dashboard,
Yep.
mapping technical actions to legal text automatically.
Control by control, status by status.
That's incredible.
But simply knowing you are compliant internally is different from proving it externally.
Right.
That burden falls to the forensic analysis agent, the FAA. When an incident occurs, the FAA reconstructs the event timeline by aggregating heterogeneous logs, system logs, application data, network traffic, transaction streams.
And it does this while the attack is still happening.
Yes. The critical feature the researchers highlight is that the FAA's output is, quote, admissible grade by construction.
Meaning, the moment the AI generates the forensic snapshot, it is legally ready to be handed to a European regulator or a court of law.
Exactly.
It isn't just a summary paragraph. It's an irrefutable cryptographic trail of exactly what the attacker did and what the system did in response.
And that cryptographic trail feeds directly into the reporting capability. Now, what makes the reporting capability unique is that it operates on a direct, lower latency path that completely bypasses the central router agent.
Oh, I see. Because if the reporting capability had to wait for the incident response agent to finish mitigating the attack, you would lose precious time. So by bypassing the CRA, the compliance reporting runs concurrently with the active incident response without competing for processing power.
You've got it. While the security agents are actively isolating the compromised servers, the reporting capability is automatically templating the required regulatory artifacts.
Unbelievable.
It drafts the mandatory 4-hour incident notifications for DORA, the 24-hour early warnings for NIS2, and the MiFID II reports required for tracking disruptions in trading venues.
It's literally an automated legal assembly line running parallel to the fire alarms. While the security team is actively fighting the digital fire, the system is already printing the legally binding incident report based on the ashes.
It fundamentally alters the timeline of incident response. However, this level of rapid automation introduces a critical tension.
Right.
Under the EU AI Act, specifically Article 14, there is a strict mandate for human oversight of AI systems.
Yeah, you can't just let the machines run the bank.
Furthermore, DORA requires an exhaustive audit trail of all operational decisions. You cannot engineer a system that unilaterally decides to shut down a bank's entire trading floor without a human being involved in the loop.
You have to engineer trust into the system.
Yeah.
You can't just assume bounded autonomy will happen naturally. But if you put a human in the middle of every single AI decision, you instantly slow the system back down to human speed, defeating the entire purpose of the automation.
Right, you're back to square one. But the architecture solves this paradox by implementing a tiered human-in-the-loop system wired directly into the CRA.
Okay, how does that work?
It segments the decisions into 3 distinct risk profiles. If the system detects a known malicious IP address blindly scanning the perimeter, that falls under Tier 1, which is autonomous.
Makes sense.
It's a fast, easily reversible action. The system blocks the IP instantly without requiring human intervention.
High speed, low risk. But what happens when the AI isn't 100% sure? A black and white autonomous block might accidentally shut down a legitimate critical business process if the behavior is ambiguous.
Ambiguous scenarios trigger Tier 2, which is gated.
Gated.
Yeah. If the behavioral analysis agent detects an employee downloading an unusually large volume of data at 3 a.m., it pauses. It compiles an evidence bundle and requires a human analyst to review the context before executing a block or account suspension.
And if the required action is highly destructive, say the AI determines that a core banking server facilitating thousands of live transactions is fundamentally compromised and needs to be isolated from the network immediately.
That escalates to Tier 3 explicit approval. These are high-severity, low reversibility actions. The AI cannot execute this independently.
Okay.
It presents the cryptographic evidence and the recommended mitigation playbook, and a designated human executive must explicitly sign off on the isolation.
Okay, let's play out the aftermath of that Tier 3 decision.
Mm.
Say an auditor from the European Central Bank knocks on the door 3 months later and asks, why did this specific multi-million euro system get isolated at exactly 4:02 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
The bank can't just point to the algorithm and claim it's a proprietary black box.
They don't have to. The system maintains an append-only audit log.
Append only, so it can't be changed.
Never. It records every single input, every data retrieval, every internal tool call between the agents, the exact confidence score of the CRA, and the explicit rationale provided by the human who signed off on the Tier 3 action.
It acts like a flight data recorder that also tracks the pilot's thought process.
Exactly.
It's an immutable, step-by-step cryptographic receipt of the exact logic used. They hand that receipt directly to the auditor, satisfying the DORA audit trail requirements and proving compliance with the Article 14 human oversight mandates simultaneously.
Let's put you in the shoes of a chief information security officer for a massive retail bank during a live attack.
Okay, stress levels are high.
Very. We can look at use case 3 from the sources. You are managing tens of thousands of servers, millions of clients, and petabytes of heterogeneous logs.
Right.
A sophisticated attacker has breached the perimeter using a zero-day exploit and is attempting lateral movement toward the customer database.
And the traditional signature-based defenses completely miss it because there's no known signature for this specific zero-day exploit.
But the kernel-level eBPF telemetry spots a sub-second anomaly in how a specific application server is spawning system processes.
Wow.
The behavioral analysis agent instantly flags this microscopic deviation. The central router agent performs a low-latency triage, aggregates the context, and confirms the active threat. It immediately triggers the incident response agent, the IRA.
The IRA doesn't just start pulling network cables, though. It executes pre-approved Tier 2 containment playbooks, utilizing reversible actions to bottleneck the attacker's lateral movement.
Right. And simultaneously, the forensic analysis agent is capturing the immutable snapshot of the environment, ensuring nothing the IRA does to contain the threat accidentally destroys the forensic evidence chain.
And parallel to all of this technical containment, the automated legal assembly line triggers.
Yes. The compliance verification agent ingests the forensic snapshot and actively generates the DORA 4-hour incident notification.
That is wild.
By the time your human security team is fully briefed on the containment strategy, the mandatory paperwork to notify the European regulators is already drafted.
Populated with irrefutable forensic evidence.
Mapped to specific DORA control objectives and ready for your final review.
That drastically changes the posture of a massive retail bank. But this raises an important question regarding the broader European market. What if you're a smaller e-money provider based in Lisbon?
Right, the smaller guys.
You don't have the budget for petabytes of log storage, kernel-level telemetry deployments, or an army of human analysts to review Tier 2 escalations. Does this level of compliance automation just widen the gap between the massive players and the smaller startups?
The researchers address that specific vulnerability through Principle 3 of the CyberAId framework, which is federated knowledge.
Federated knowledge.
The system is designed so that smaller institutions can mathematically inherit the detection capabilities of the massive retail banks.
But wait, sharing detailed threat data between financial institutions sounds like a massive GDPR violation. The telemetry would inherently contain sensitive customer data or proprietary network architecture details.
They're sharing the accumulated knowledge, never the raw data.
Oh.
The architecture utilizes secure multi-party computation. When a massive bank in Paris detects and defeats a novel attack, their AI agents learn from the encounter. They refine their behavioral baselines, create new detection rules, and update their response playbooks.
They learn a new skill.
Exactly. The system then mathematically strips all the specific customer and network data away, packaging up just the abstracted lesson learned.
That anonymized skill package is then shared securely with the collective network. So the small e-money provider in Lisbon suddenly has an AI agent that knows exactly how to detect and stop a sophisticated lateral movement attack that it has never actually encountered before.
You've got it. It creates a continuously refined collective defense shield across the entire European financial sector.
Completely respecting the boundaries of GDPR.
Completely.
We've covered a lot of ground today. We started by looking at the incredibly noisy diagnostic landscape of financial cybersecurity, where human analysts are drowning in alert fatigue, and the overactive motion sensor generating endless false positives.
We explored how CyberAId transitions the sector to a hybrid multi-agent future. The AI does not replace the deterministic sensors. It acts as a team of specialized detectives reasoning over the data, heavily constrained by an unalterable security context passport.
And crucially, it doesn't just isolate the threats. It meticulously handles the forensic and regulatory compliance required by DORA, NIS2, and the EU AI Act. It automates the concurrent reporting, gathers the admissible grade evidence, and preserves an immutable cryptographic audit trail.
And all of this operates under the strict boundaries of a tiered human-in-the-loop system. Engineering trust and verifiable human oversight from the ground up is really the only viable way an autonomous system survives the reality of a highly regulated European market.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought drawn from the open research directions in these sources. The researchers discussed the evolution of skill-based agent adaptation. We just touched on how agents can share abstracted lessons learned.
Yeah, the idea that these agents don't rely on static sets of instructions. They can dynamically download composable version skills as the regulatory landscape shifts.
Imagine a future where the European Union updates a massive legal framework, say a new iteration of PSD2 compliance, or an overhauled PCI DSS scanning requirement.
Right.
The enterprise AI doesn't need to be taken offline and entirely retrained. It simply downloads that specific, newly minted regulatory skill package. It's literally like Neo in the Matrix downloading a martial arts program and saying, I know Kung Fu, but applied to European financial regulation.
And that new regulatory skill propagates across the federated network instantly.
Which leads to a fascinating dilemma. If an AI can ingest a new legal framework instantly and is fundamentally smarter and more legally capable today than it was yesterday, how will human regulators ever begin to accurately test it?
It's a huge problem.
What happens when the auditors themselves have to start relying on advanced AI agents just to comprehend the operational logic of the AI they're supposed to be auditing? Are we moving toward a future where the only entity capable of regulating the machines, well, are other machines?
That is a profound question for the future of decentralized finance and global regulation.
Something for you to ponder the next time you tap your card and trust the digital nervous system. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.